Well, let's get to the technology. Let's talk about GETL. The authors are Michel Daage and Rocco Fiato. They're both with ExxonMobil. And Michel Daage, who's doing the presentation, is Distinguished Research Associate. Correct?
That is correct.
Oh, thank you. Michel Daage.
Yes. Thank you very much for the introduction. I would like to acknowledge my co-author, Fiato, who has been quite a bit on the circuit talking about the work that we are doing in gas to liquid technology. I would like also to thank Theo Fleisch this morning because he covered a lot of the introductory material that I needed to look at, and he's going to simplify my job today. This first slide, in fact, is one of his last slides. And I use it to show you that essentially the conversion of gas rely on the first step, which is the partial oxidation to form the syngas. One of the big advantages in the conversion is the fact that this common intermediate in the technology is very flexible and can utilize different carbon sources. Okay, the alternative from that syngas are two major options. One is methanol synthesis in the manufacturing of petrochemical, which I'm not going to cover today. We heard quite a bit about that yesterday and this morning. The other alternative is the Fischer-Tropsch synthesis and the wax upgrading, which essentially target the production of fuels and lubricants, which are the area of interest to ExxonMobil in that area, and this is what I'm going to cover this morning. Finally, there is a direct activation of methane, and once again, this is at this point way too early to even approach reasonable economics, and I'm not going to discuss that approach today. When you look at the GTL technology, the thing that is really critical here, and I would like to emphasize, the importance of improving technology. This aspirement to obtaining attractive economics, and a lot of work has been done in that area. In fact, the industry, we estimate that since the 1980s, more than $2.3 billion have been spent in developing that technology. This shows you how important it is to the economics and how we can achieve the commercialization of the gas to liquid technology. It is a highly competitive environment. You don't spend that kind of money if you don't believe that there is a lot of money to be made, and everybody wants a piece of the pie. Okay, the chart that you see here at the bottom show you the activity related to the patents, and you can see there is a large number of patents, and ExxonMobil is the major holder of this intellectual property. The industry has widely discussed, argued, and tried to secure improvement to the technology. There are many opportunities that have been identified, especially in the case of the air separation, which is critical for the production of the syngas. The playing scale has been increasing, and this technology is being challenged every day to go larger and larger because of the economy of scale. The syngas, you heard Topser describe the ATR. There are other groups that are looking at advanced reactor design, and that area is also extremely competitive, even though there are many competitors in the company available out there. On the Fischer-Tropsch synthesis, the key, as we believe, is related to obtaining a high productivity catalyst and the ability to use very large-scale three-phase slurry reactors. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. And finally, in order to make a product that you can sell, you need to upgrade that wax, because the wax market is very small. And essentially, just to give you an idea, on a large GTL tank, a leak on a flange is enough to cover the production of the whole cradle market in the US. So you see that you're not going to commercialize the wax, you're going to need to transform it to a very large volume product, and that's where the fuels and the lubricants come into play. And in the wax upgrading, what is really essential is obtaining high selectivity. Obviously, you don't want to go back to methane because you would have wasted a lot of money doing that. Okay, here is the schematics of the AGC 21, which stands for Advanced Gas Conversion for the 21st century, and that is the patented technology that ExxonMobil has been working on for now many years. It is composed of 3 different steps, just like Theo described before, one being the syngas generation. The second step is the Fischer-Tropsch, where you take the syngas and convert it to a waxy material. And you can see from the schematic that we're using a slurry reactor, and that is designed specifically to manage the heat because of the high exothermic reaction that occurs in this vessel. We produce a high molecular weight wax out of this reactor using both a proprietary reactor design as well as a proprietary catalyst, and I'm going to give you a little more detail on that. This is then followed up by an upgrading step, which resembles to some extent an hydrocracking or an hydroisomerization, which is commonly used for the manufacturing of lubricants, even from conventional fuels. And essentially the product that we're going to make are fuels, diesel, some naphtha, lubes, which have a higher value than the fuels themselves, and obviously opportunity for some specialties such as solvents in here. Okay. The uniqueness of the process that Exxon is using is really tied up to both steps here, which is the use of the slurry reactor for the Fischer-Tropsch synthesis, as well as the upgrading, and the company possesses a very strong IP position in that area, which cover both, they cover 3 things: the catalyst, the process itself, and also the product composition. Let me focus a little bit more about the Fischer-Tropsch synthesis. We use a proprietary reactor design, and in that step we convert synthetic gas into long straight-chain paraffins, essentially wax. It's a very clean product. It is white from a beautiful candle. If you had the chance to see this, it's really pretty amazing to see the kind of material that you make out of this. The slurry reactor that we use is essentially enabling the technology for our large economy of scale, and that is where the slurry presents a significant advantage. It is an isothermal reactor, and it enables us to control the selectivity of the reaction and essentially produce a very high quality wax. The key element of this slurry obviously is controlling the hydrodynamics in the reactor, and that is tied up to the formulation of the catalyst and its morphology, and also controlling the heat removal, which the liquid phase allows you for very good high heat transfer capability in the reactor, where we remove the heat by evaporating the water, which is shown here on the reactor on these grids of tubes that are inserted inside of the reactor. On the catalyst side of it, you have here a cartoon representation of the chemistry. I don't think that anybody is maybe informative, but not that exciting. The key element is really the cobalt HCS catalyst, which is represented here. We believe our catalyst is revolutionary and it's highly patented. It is a supported cold catalyst that provides a high productivity to paraffin wax. And this is really essential to your economics. So it's a very sophisticated system, and in particular you will notice that this catalyst, we call them ring catalyst, and it's a distribution of the cobalt distributed in the particle, which in fact allows you to control the selectivity of the reaction. You can see here the light layer that you see around there is where the cobalt is distributed in the catalyst, from that particular catalyst. Why is this so important in the design of this catalyst? Is because if you try to study the effect of the thickness of that wave of cobalt in the cobalt particle, what you're going to notice is that the thickness that you need to use in the catalyst depends on the productivity of the catalyst. If you have a low productivity catalyst, which is on this line here, on yellow, okay, you will notice that this is your production of C5 plus materials, and here you have the methane selectivity. You can see it's somewhat delayed with the thickness, but catch up very rapidly and increase rapidly. Obviously, here you're making in excess of 9% methane, and every percent of methane that you make is a waste of money, because that's why you started with in the first place. If now you try to increase the productivity of the catalyst, which you see with this curve here, on a high productivity catalyst, you will notice that the methane catch up much faster and the yield becomes higher. Then you notice that you need to control the thickness of that plane in order to maintain the high selectivity in your process. So understanding the Fischer-Tropsch catalyst structure and function is really essential, and it is related to the effective diffusion path length and the intrinsic activity of the catalyst. This is an effect that is very often ignored, okay, in the formulation of catalysts, and it's really critical. Another way to look at it is to look at what ExxonMobil has defined as the chi factor, which is represented here. Okay, that has to do with the morphology of the catalyst, the activity of the cobalt, the volume of the particle, and the size of the pore. In fact, this is due to, if you look at it as a plot as a function of the value of chi, you want this value to be as high as possible. What you notice is that the selectivity in C5 plus increase dramatically can be up to 90%, and at the same time your ratio of olefin to paraffin decrease. And this is because in this regime here, you're allowing for the reabsorption of the olefin, which allows them to grow again the molecular weight and increase the overall yield into the wax. The essential issue here is really to control the diffusion path, and in a high conversion regime, what happens is to center of the particle, if you still have cobalt, you have a hydrogen-rich environment, which leads you to the formation of the methane, and that's what you try to get around. The important thing about this chi factor is that Exxon has patented an algorithm related to the chi factor, and it is well described, and I'm going to refer you to this literature if you want to know more, because I do not have the time to describe more this effect. Okay. Here is a picture of the catalyst that I was showing you before, which shows this ring here. And essentially, I'm going to repeat a little bit what I just said, which is that the cobalt ring helps minimize the methane formation, and it's obvious in the economics that's important. It's related to the diffusion, the relative diffusion of the hydrogen versus the CO, especially when you get to the high conversion regime per pass, which impact the economics because you minimize recycling. Okay, and it also helps you manage the heat control in the particle because of the endothermic reaction. One of the things is eggshell composition. Let me make just one point that my colleague has spent a lot of time on those patterns that have been challenged by the industry quite a bit. I want to emphasize that these patents have been upheld after 10 years of interference, and ExxonMobil does control this issue on the ring catalyst. It is very important to recognize that the definition of a ring has nothing to do with, it applies to any shape of the catalyst particle that you will use. You can use trilodes or even powders, and the ring is independent of the shape. Okay, other characteristic that we look in the catalyst is looking at accretion resistance, obviously, because we are using a slurry reactor and chemical disintegration, which would be, well, create a corrosion problem in a slurry reactor. Let me now switch a little bit to the issue of the products, because really what all this technology is about is making a product that you can market and sell. And the key thing is when you make wax, wax is not a market that is large enough for us to operate. And what I did here is I put a very simple cartoon to explain what we're trying to do in those plants. If you look at this as this linear molecule being a wax, by the way, I'm a chemist, okay, just in case that explains the cartoons. We use a series of proprietary catalysts that are essentially bifunctional catalysts, like metals on solid acids, and you change the morphology and the property and function of those catalysts in order to tailor the product that you make. In one particular case, you're going to try to favor not only an isomerization reaction, but also cracking reaction, acid cracking, so that you can control the molecular weight of the product. And in this particular case, you're going to try to make diesel. In the other cases, you're going to avoid the cracking, and you're going to isomerize the molecule by adding branches to those chains. And those branches are going to be relatively short. It's very difficult to put long branches on these molecules. And when you do this, you're now getting products that are in the loop range, okay? And the properties that you're looking for are very different. They have to do with viscosity, VI, flow point, and for anybody involved in catalysis, it is a weird process to work on because everything is driven by physical properties and not by conversion. Down here is an example on how you select the catalyst to go towards producing diesel or lubricants. What you do is, this is an example which could be a bench scale type of experiment. You look at NDH conversions for the countdown that is used, and you look at the production of iso decanes, essentially methylnonane and dimethyloctanes. And the purple line is the ideal conversion, okay, which is a body line. And you can see that we are using two different catalysts, some catalysts that are here, which have some isomerization capability, but you can see that we lose a lot of the molecules here by cracking. So we're making lower molecular weight. When you try to make the lube, we try to maintain the molecular weight, and we use this type of catalyst. Excuse me. Let me talk a little bit about the lubes and what we're trying to achieve. May I get a glass of water? In the isomerization process, what we try to do is modify the linear paraffin. Here is an example with a C26 molecule. And what we try to do is add a small branch to this molecule. And when you do this, what happens is the pull point of your lubricant change. It goes from a 56 degrees here, C, to down to 30 degrees. And the VI, you will notice, doesn't change. Okay, and that is the kind of reaction that you, yes, makes the lubricity. And really that is what we're trying to achieve. And this is very critical to be able to control the performance of those products. In the case of the diesel, what we're going to do is hydrocracking, reduce the molecular weight, and improve the low temperature performance. Low temperature is such a critical item in terms of the product, both in the diesel and in the lube. And one of the reasons is if you live in a cold country, okay, when you start the car in the morning, you don't want the crankcase to have a candle in there. Okay, and that's exactly why people produce the worry about this type of properties, because if the lube solidifies, you cannot start the car. Okay. There's in both of those processes, you have to add another step, which is an hydro-twinning process, and essentially an hydro-finishing step, in which at a low temperature you hydrogenate the residual olefins and eventually oxygenate in some cases that you may have. And you do this in order to stabilize the product, because you have to store it, you have to transport it, deliver it at the pump, and if oxidation occurs, then you have a product that is not acceptable to the market. Okay, at the end, the final product that we make, both in terms of the diesel or the lubes, you have to recognize that the high quality blend stock material because it comes down to formulation. Very rarely you produce a lube that is a single base oil. It is typically a blend to which you adjust the viscosity in order to meet the market. So don't look at it as a product that you make out of the GTL is final. It is a blend stock, especially in the lube business. This chart shows the evolution of the technology in a lubricant, and I decided to incorporate this because in many of the conferences that we attend, very rarely we talk about lubricants and lube base oil. And the history here is very interesting. In the very early days, it was the lubes were recovered from the barrel of oil for an acid and clay treating, and the size of the trains were very small, up to 5 kVE. In about the 1930s, the technology evolved to solvent refining, and that is what the large capacity today is. We produce Group 1 all over the world, okay, and that includes heavy base oil, industrial oils, and all that kind of thing. In more recent years, hydroprocessing has been incorporated in that scheme, and what you do here is you saturate the aromatic. When you switch from solvent refining to an hydroprocess system, you are now moving from a Group 1 lubricant to a Group 2 and a Group 2 plus. The major difference here is we start to increase the VI, you decrease the sulfur content of the lubricants, and that is also driven by environmental regulation. Believe it or not, when you talk about less sulfur in fuels, the sulfur that exists in a lubricant starts to be a player. This is how deep the control of the regulation is impacting the fuel and the lube industry. Finally, the most recent stuff that has happened in the 90s is essentially the old catalytic plants that have allowed the production of Group 3, and essentially they're very high VI, they're above 120, they're essentially no sulfur. And this is where most of the investment in industrial lube is being done today. So, what is next and where does GTL fit? It fits right there. It is the next technology, and that is the highest quality lube base oil that you're going to be able to manufacture out of GTL. So it is the next generation lubricants. And you can see here that I describe it as a Group 3 plus, 135 VI. Okay, this becomes competitive with the polyalpha olefin business, and the big advantage is this is a much cheaper technology to produce that kind of material. How do we do this? We use a technology that we call MSDW2, and MSDW2 is a leading technology for hydroisomerization today in the market for conventional lubes, and it is applicable to GTL, and that's what we're going to do. The principle of that type of conversion is related to the control by shape selectivity. It is using a zeolite, proprietary zeolite, which controls the diffusion of the molecule, and by doing this, you control not only the isomerization, but also the amount of fraction. These catalysts are very sophisticated and are highly proprietary, and unfortunately, I cannot describe to you the details of this. But the bottom line is you control the diffusion of the wax molecule, which has a small critical diameter, which can go into the pore, where the isomerization occurs. When the molecule becomes bulky, it does not penetrate into the catalyst. Excuse me. Here is another chart that is very critical. It gives you a comparison of what a conventional base stock looks like and what a GTL base stock will look. And it is an SFC, which is a supercritical fluid chromatography technique that is used. What you see here is the major peak that you see at 19 minutes about. This characteristic of parting, nice parting. And later on, what you see is the one-ring naphtene. The product that you see labeled C and D, these are competitors of Group 3 product, okay, which contain a significant amount of naphtene. The things labeled A here, I can tell you that it is our product. It is our Group 3 product, the Bison that was produced at Foley by isomerization of black wax. And the GTL lube, essentially when we treat this type of material, gives you the red curve here. And you can see that the naphthalene are essentially absent. This is a characteristic that allows us to make this extremely advanced lube and very high quality material. The thing that is important to recognize is that the fewer naphthalene and aromatic you would have in your lube, the more stable your lubes become. It is not sensitive to oxidation. And it's a critical property in order to be able to sell this material. There is a direct comparison, okay, of the HEC21 base stock versus the competition. And as I said, it's a complex issue. Here are several of those composition and physical properties that are important in the lube business. I highlighted here two of them, the NOAC conductivity and the CCS, which is a cold crankcase simulator. And the lower the number is, the better the performance. And you will notice that this is our Bison product, which is today considered as one of the most advanced base oil in the market. Here is the PAO, which is the polyalpha olefin, which is the key to the formulation of Mobile One, which is a high performance product. And you can see that using GTM, you can produce materials that are competitive with PAO. Let me switch a little bit to the diesel. GTL will produce a very good product. A conventional diesel has about a cetane of 45, and the regulation is pushing for higher value. It can be as high as 50. The sulfur in the conventional today in the US is about 330 ppm. Obviously, this is going down, and the regulation is going to push you to produce diesel with 10 ppm, which requires significant higher volumes. You can see that you already achieved that from HEC21. The specific gravity goes down, and this is also recognized as decreasing the emissions. The flash point remains very acceptable, and the cloud point is acceptable also for selling this product. The cloud point depends on the region where you're going to sell. Let me give a little bit more background on that GTL diesel. One of the things that obviously is very attractive in that material is the reduction in emission done from this product. Essentially, you can see that when you compare the GTL diesel, you can see that there is a significant reduction in the NOx emission as well as the PM, and as you know, this is a critical item, especially for the countries that are switching to a heavy use of diesel engine like Western Europe. One of the things that is very interesting is that those credits that you see here, many of them are still maintained even if you blend that type of material with conventional diesel, especially the UK LSADO, the low sulfur on-road diesel. And the most likely disposition, I mean, I don't like the word disposition, but use of the, I'm sorry, I don't like the word disposition. I think the use of the GTL, because it has so many good qualities, is being used as blend with refinery streams. That will allow also to maintain the production of diesel, which is under stress in the New York. The freight cost may push the GTL in other areas, and that is related to the economics. You're going to go obviously where you can make the maximum profit, which is cheaper way of controlling diesel. Let me remind you a little bit that even though the capacity in diesel that people are investing in seems huge, okay, here is what the Qatar plant represents. We're going to manufacture about 80 kbd of GTL diesel, and that's what it represents in the global diesel market. So there is a lot of room for that product and much more investment possible if you can justify the economics. Let me mention a few other things. One of the things that is a key characteristic of the GTL product is that they are clear and colorless liquid. They look like there's the lube, look like there's the diesel, look like there's the naphtha. They have no odor, they have no sulfur. It's like busy oil. Okay, and they burn key. And I think it's a very unique property of this type of material. They're excellent liquid for the petrochemical and the refining. And this is why there are many other issues that are related to that outside of the diesel and the lubricant. There is a naphtha range olefins, naphtha which can be used for naphtha cracking, the jet, the white oil, and the wax for specialty. And one that is not listed here is used as solvents, and specialty solvents. Let me give you a quick update on the AGC 21 status. ExxonMobil is trying ahead of agreement in 2004. In fact, it was on the Bastille Day, being a Frenchman, I cannot forget that. It was on July 14th, 2004. The project will process 1.8 gigascf of gas, okay, and essentially produce about 154 kbd of GTL, and the remainder being condensate and LPG recovery. The integration with this condensate and LPG recovery is essential to the economics. This is why those plants are so complicated. Okay, we will produce out of this 154 kbd of total hydrocarbon, about 80 kbds of diesel, about 30 kbds of lube, and this is huge because if you look today at a large-scale plant, okay, for a Gulf 3 lube or catalytic, the investment are in the 15 to 20 kbd. So this is a world-class scale lube production capability. And about 6 kbd will be directed toward the specialty products such as paraffinic solvent and also liquid products. Okay, let me remind you that ExxonMobil has a very strong IP position on this with over 3,500 patents issued or pending worldwide. And I will do my little advertising just like we did earlier. Okay, ExxonMobil is offering to others the white book or processes of the portfolio patents that we own. Okay, the outlook for GTL. Okay, the GTL investment, as everybody has to welcome that, it is capital intensive. There's a lot of money. We're talking about billions of dollars for these kind of facilities. And this kind of investment will always be considered relative to alternatives. And this includes the LNG, the pipeline sales, okay, as well as other resources, which could be looking at the production of chemical the way Theo showed us this morning. Successful implementation will depend on several factors. Okay, and the projection indicates that it would be a modest penetration in the market by 2025, about 2% of the market penetration, and that is essentially driven by the penetration of the diesel market. The capacity growth will be accompanied by post-development evolution because once again, beside the few small plants in South Africa and the Bintulu plant, there is relatively little experience in operating those very large plants. So it is to expect that there's going to be technology improvement with the startup of those plants and that the next generation of plants will be much more effective than the one that we're talking about. Okay, and finally, the synthesis gas technology will enable a range of feedstock, okay, that's going to be used as part of a diversified energy mix for the future. Longer-term options are the direct methane. I think that all of us would like to see this happen and hope that one day it's visible. And the reason is because it takes out of these conversion scenario a major cost, which represents almost half of the cost of those plants, and that is the production of the syngas. which remains the biggest challenge that we have in the field. With this, I would like to conclude and thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Michel Daage. Any question? Yes, sir.
Bertel Breukman from Cecil. I have a question with respect to your FT catalyst. I think one of the beauties of slurry-phase reactor technology is that you can apply small catalyst particles and can avoid any syntax fusion limitations. Nevertheless, I noticed that you propose still to use a kind of ring type of cold catalyst, also in case of your proprietary slurry-phase reactor technology.
They are different. That is a very good question. I think that you understand very well what we're talking about, comparing the diffusion in the thickness of the metal layer. There is a point where the particle becomes small enough that you don't need the ring. That is correct.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Professor Schultz.
A little question. You said that in your case, via reabsorption of the olefins, you have a higher yield of the waxes. I understand this, that you now frustrate, you inhibit the reabsorption of the olefins on other sites where they are hydrogenated. So I think your product primarily will have a higher content of olefins in that what you are optimizing now with your process in the cabinet. This is correct?
That's one way to look at it. You have to look at the location of where the site is. Okay, the site that have a tendency to hydrogenate are located toward the core of the particle, where the hydrogen concentration becomes higher. Yes, you're correct that you want to have more olefins to some extent.
Yeah, but this is only one part of the game. The other part is you have a secondary olefin hydrogenation on other sites and those as a growth sites. Yeah? And you have to inhibit the secondary hydrogenation on the other sides.
Yes,
so
you want to
this is being
minimize
done
those
in your development now, and so the product should be higher in olefin concentration, the primary product, than normally.
Yes, that is correct.
Thank you. Other question? Yes, sir.
The plant in Qatar is projected 30 kilobar per day of base tube oil of very high viscosity. This is a significant part of the market of this kind of products. Are you forecasting an increase of this market to justify these projects, at least as far as the Lipstocks is concerned?
As you know, we're talking about forecasting. Everybody that has been involved in doing forecasts know that the forecasts are wrong. Okay, you may have the direction. What is clear in the loop market is that the trend is going toward higher quality product, especially for the light neutrals, which are used for engine oils. And that's why you see with a significant investment being made in the Group 2 and Group 3 facilities around the world. The GTL is one of these options, and it turned to be the most economical way of accessing the high quality lubricants. This is why some more shows to produce lubricants in Canada.
Yes.
I'm Ricardo Prada Civil. My question is concerning the improvement of the diesel quality in blending with the diesel, refinery diesel with GTL. You have shown that effectively the blending reduced the emissions of particulates and also in waste. However, there are some studies that indicated that the CO2 emission is higher when you have a blending of GTL with diesel, refinery diesel. And we know that the 26% of the total CO2 emissions come from the automotive industry, combustion of automotive industry. Could you please comment about that?
I would be glad to if I knew the answer. Unfortunately, I'm only familiar with the NOx and the PM emissions. I know the company has done the work, but I would have to get back to you. I don't have the answer today.
Anybody else? If not, thanks again, Mr. Daage. We will now have a coffee break until 10:30. We will then reconvene